Now, joining us for more analysis on the fuel price increases, Bala Zakka. He's a petroleum and current affairs analyst. Mr. Zakka, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning and thank you for having me. I greet our viewers across the globe.
Good to have you. Well, the government's explanation about, market, forces and the exchange rate and some of all of that, doesn't sit very well with Nigerians. So I want to get your views, if you agree with the Nigerian government and what their reasons are for the increase in price of petrol from, somewhere around 500 naira to currently 617 naira. Do the excuses or the reasons add up?
I'm at 100% variance with the government in this context, and it's very simple. I think there is something that really gets me surprised sometimes. First of all, let's define leaders. You see, leaders are fellow citizens that other citizens collectively decided to hand over their economic, political, and social destinies into their care to manage in national interest. And to that extent, if leaders are not doing the right thing, then you need to look at the terms of reference. And the terms of reference had to do with the kind of contract you have with your leaders. I mean, you're talking about something that is very, very elementary here. Very simple. We're talking about providing goods and services. It's only government that is supposed to provide goods and services to individual and corporate citizens. What corporate and individual citizens owe the government is for them to be civic in their behavior and to comply with their civic responsibilities of paying taxes and levies and other obligations. But in Nigeria, the government is abdicating its responsibilities and moving to somewhere else. I mean, this thing we're talking is very simple, very elementary. What is supposed to happen? Every government across the globe provides what we call subsidy. Subsidy is a globally accepted economic pain cushioning concept. Subsidy is a government creation. Subsidies associated with governments across the globe. The equivalent of subsidy when you are dealing with private sector is called discount. Every country you go, government gives subsidy in education so that she can build her citizens and they will become valuable human assets. Government gives subsidy in health so that she can have healthy citizens. Government provides subsidy in everything. And it's so strange. But let me also tell you, in the context of Nigeria, we are talking about energy security here. We're talking about energy security. Any country that has no energy will not grow. The economy of Nigeria today, if you look at the economy of Nigeria, we are grinding towards the cliff edge. The economy will collapse into the valley. What is happening in Nigeria is a practical case of our leaders will shoot before they aim. Quote me that I said so. And we are just discussing the downstream sector of the oil and gas industry. Like the midstream does not exist in Nigeria. In the upstream, we are having worst calamities. At this rate, I mean, it's very clear the disposable income of Nigerians has been eroded. Check the GDP variables or the equation of the GDP. The consumption index has been rubbished because the disposable income is not there. There is no investment because investors are groaning under what we call energy costs. They cannot break even.
All right, Mr. Zakka.
Others who cannot withstand the torture have decided to run away from Nigeria.
Yeah.
When you look
Mr. Zakka, kindly hold on. So we're going to have you continue, and of course, when you come back, you can then go deeper into the idea of food deregulation that they claim. Who really is responsible for importation of petrol at this point? And some of the other little details here and there as to why the government may not be, very honest with us. But let's take a very short break. We come back and we'll have you speak on those. Mr. Zakka, can you please help us tilt your screen down just a little bit? Yes, I think this is great. All right, thank you very much. Olive, you're going next.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. We're still looking at the fuel price hike and what the implication is for Nigeria. Mr. Bala, thank you very much for joining us. Let's still look further into the conversation about the fuel price hike. Yesterday we had a conversation about the importation of fuel and the NNPC being the sole importer. They have said that they're no longer the sole importer. We'd like you to shed more light on this, as well as the claims of deregulation by the government.
Okay, first of all, I want to let you know that I've just discovered that many people don't know the difference between deregulation and liberalization. Many don't even know the difference between commercialization and privatization. So that is even the beginning of the ignorance. Look, subsidy is supposed to be something that is associated with government. It's only government that is supposed to provide goods and services. Before now, when the government wanted to remove subsidy on the price of diesel, petrol, aviation fuel, and kerosene, we told them that it was the wrong move. But the press singers and the fake technocrats tried to justify it. They said then that when they remove the subsidy, that there will be investors, that prices will come down. Before they removed subsidy on the price of diesel, a liter of diesel was about 87 Nigerian naira. It is more than 700 Nigerian naira. Let them show us one investor that has come. Let them show us the competitive prices that they talked about that were going to bring the prices down. But I can tell you that the only thing we noticed were collapse in strategic industrial sectors, collapse in strategic domestic sectors, and collapse in strategic commercial sectors. That is why today you go to commercial sectors like banks, they open at 8:30 and they close by, say, probably 3 o'clock, because energy cost is very high. Many companies and factories are shutting down now because the cost of energy is high. And as you can see, you know it, in some companies now or organizations, they tell their staff to come twice or thrice in a week. That is affecting production. This thing is too elementary. And quote me that I said, refining is basic chemistry. Refining is not as complex as heart surgery or cesarean operation or even kidney transplant. Across the globe, Nigeria is a member of OPEC. Why are they not having this kind of issues in the days of Libya of Gaddafi? Why are they not having this kind of issues in all concerns in Iran, Iraq, Indonesia, Malaysia, Norway, and the rest? This thing is too elementary. Let me tell you, the whole world is laughing at Nigeria. Anybody who tells you that all these independent marketers, major marketers will help the situation, they are lying, because they are private establishment. They are only after profit maximization and cost minimization. It is only government that will provide this. And anybody who tells you that state-owned refineries do not work, that person is a hater of Nigerians. This is the simple thing that is supposed to happen. Instead of removing the subsidy, it is the saboteurs that you will remove. It is the economic vampires and economic marauders that you are going to remove. Subsidy is a global concept. If it is not working in your own country, that cannot invalidate the validity of that concept. Rather, check in your country why it is not working. And in the context of Nigeria, it is because we have wrong pegs in square holes. Most of the people we have claim to know how this thing is, but they don't know. And that was why in the course of this discussion, I will give you bit by bit in elementary form. We have more than 100 universities, more than 100 polytechnics. If basic refining is difficult for Nigeria, then why are we having all those institutes and universities? The countries where we go to import these refined petroleum products, how many universities do they have? How many polytechnics do they have?
All right, Mr. Zakka. These are really, really important questions that you've asked, but it paints a picture generally of, it paints the Nigerian picture, basically. But I want, that we help Nigerians understand why the price of petrol can get as high as 617 and even higher, because there are fears that it might get up to 700, maybe even 800 naira a litre if things continue to look this way. But the government, of course, claimed that it has set up a structure with which, things would balance out and the price would continue to reduce. So is the government lying with their claims that this is the right? I mean, you've already stated that, removal of subsidy is completely wrong. But now that it has supposedly been taken off and it has ended, do you believe the government's claims that things will eventually balance out when, other players in the market are allowed to import petrol, and so the price will eventually, markets, would clash and eventually things will go down? Are those things that Nigerians should look forward to and just hold on and watch the markets reduce the price? Or is that never going to happen?
It's not correct. It will never come down. Quote me that I said so. It will never come down. First of all, Nigeria is an emerging economy. Nigeria's currency is very weak. Nigerians are very poor. Anybody who tells you that it will come down, that person is lying to you. The only way out is accept that we are on the wrong track. The only way is to come back and internally domesticate. Let me tell you what is happening. What is happening is a case of us having some, not all, many of our political and economic leaders are morally bankrupt and are suffering from moral insolvency. Quote me. This is not the views of News Central. Quote me that I say so. And the reason why I'm telling you so is because it does not make sense for a country that has raw materials to go out and be getting refined products. Anybody who tells you that the price will come down is lying to you. And this thing is affecting us so much. What we just need to do is get the crude oil from the wellheads here in Naira, refine it in Naira, distribute to Nigerians in Naira, save our Naira and save ourselves from exchange rate pressures. But I know that technocrats who are government proteges and singers and press singers will tell you that, but it is an international product. You will need spare parts. Even this, my eyeglass, is an imported product. So we know that you will need spare parts. But I'm also telling you that anybody who ties local consumption to international price, that person is dumb. That person doesn't know what he or she is talking about. The truth is this: at the level of OPEC, the crude oil for sales that every country will send out for sales to the international market is controlled. That is what you call the OPEC quota for every country. But the quantity that you will have for your internal consumption is not regulated by OPEC. And to that extent, if we want a liter of petrol to be 10 naira, it can be 10 naira in Nigeria because it is for internal consumption. And people are making mistakes. We are talking about energy security here. You are living in a country where you have more than 200 million citizens. You have strategic industrial sectors, strategic commercial sectors, and strategic domestic sectors, relying on less than 10,000 megawatts of electricity from the national grid. There is no way you will develop. So the only thing we have done is Nigerians decided to resort to other sources of energy and power. They resorted to generators, but they cannot afford diesel. The next thing is petrol generators. And today, as I speak to you now, petrol generators are not affordable. So the only thing, what do you expect people to do? That barber that will need to go and spend like 6,000 to buy 10 liters, how many hair will he cut? That lady in the hair salon that will buy, spend 6,000 to buy 10 liters, how many hairs will she dress? That vulcanizer that will go and buy 10 liters and spend 6,000 naira, tell me how many tires he will fix before he breaks even. This thing is very practical. When you go to the industrial sector, to energy, if you go to what we call income statement, the major thing eating them today is energy cost. This thing is too elementary. Anybody who tells you that we are not having leaders that are chameleonic, that person is not telling you the truth. Even on the gas side, ordinary from our natural gas, you are supposed to get ammonia. From ammonia, you get urea. From urea, you get fertilizer. But I can tell you that the fertilizer bag that used to cost probably 2,000 is close to 15,000 now. And as I still speak to you, the minimum wage in Nigeria is 30,000 naira. Minimum wage cannot buy a 50-kilogram bag of rice.
The unfortunate part about that is, even as you mentioned, the minimum wage being 30,000 naira, there are still states that are still owing people salaries. Some people are still being owed salaries.
Allow me to explain. The minimum wage in Nigeria today cannot buy a 50 kg bag of rice. The minimum wage in our dear country called Nigeria today cannot buy a 50-liter jerry can of diesel. Quote me that I said, any country whose minimum wage, monthly minimum wage, cannot buy a 50 kg bag of rice, that country is doomed for collapse. Quote me that I say so. Also, in the upstream sector of the oil and gas industry, in the whole of Nigeria today, we don't have up to 15 active drilling rigs. Don't say this is New Central, say I said so. And I'm waiting for any person who will challenge me. Any country that does not have, especially Nigeria, you don't have up to 15 active drilling rigs. How can you be able to produce and meet up with your OPEC quota? How can you be able to produce and meet up with your internal consumption to provide energy and to meet up with your budget deficit? So anybody that is telling you that we need to go and rely on import, and if you look at it technically, from the discussion, they don't want us to fix the refineries. Every time they are talking about import license, it's a shame. Let me also tell you something. There is this radio station that sometimes talks about imports and shipping position. Every time I hear them talking about the vessels, so liters of petrol are at the ports, so liters of million liters of diesel have arrived, so tons of rice have been imported. Other Nigerians that are ignorant may be happy. For me, I feel like breaking my radio because it's a shame. Those food and those distillates or refined petroleum products we are importing, we are only enriching other countries.
Mr. Bala Zakka, let's talk about, you've enumerated a number of these problems and explained in depth the kind of trouble we seem to have found ourselves in. Do you maybe have faith that the Bola Ahmed Tinubu-led government will be able to right the wrongs that have been done so far, especially as regards the fuel price hike and invariably the increase in cost of living for Nigerians?
On one condition, let us come back and internally domesticate. Let us make sure we internally refine. And with due respect, this is what I want to say. When we went even into democracy, we have been in democracy for almost 24 years now, from 1999 to 2003. Even if it will take 10 years to construct one new refinery, we are supposed to be having 2 brand new refineries. But this is what I want to tell you. The last time Nigeria constructed a refinery was around 1990 or 1989. You're talking about 34 years. The current generation of leaders didn't deem it fit to maintain the 4 refineries they inherited. They didn't deem it fit to construct new ones. You didn't need a soothsayer to tell you that your country called Nigeria will run into energy crisis. Then in the case of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, with due respect, I knew what he did in Lagos. I knew how he fixed the landscape and the structures. But in the context of removing fuel subsidy, I want to tell you, quote me, not your TV station, that he was wrongly advised. because we told him, or we advised, that the only product remaining holding Nigerians was this petrol. And they were just looking at the savings from removal of subsidy. None of them was looking at the cost of the calamity and anarchy that will follow. Look at the economic calamities now. Look at the social and political calamities now. Many people now are telling their staff to come to work twice or thrice in a day. Is that not affecting productivity? Is that how to utilize human capital? Then some people have discovered that the volume of consumption have gone down, and some people in government are saying it is because price increase, smugglers have disappeared. Those people are very wicked. The reason why people Zakka are not buying now is because their disposable income has been weakened and eroded.
Yeah, Bala Zakka, I can feel the passion with which you speak. There's many Nigerians who are affected. Millions and millions of Nigerians are affected by these decisions. We, of course, would hope that the Tinubu administration understands what is at stake, and, of course, fixes what needs to be fixed. But thank you very much for your time. We'd like to speak with you again as quickly as possible. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you again.
Absolutely.